back. This is Rich Hart. My guest with me today is the one and only Mr. Randy Davidson from Georgia Entertainment. Randy, welcome to the program.
I'm glad to be here, Rich. I'm glad to be here. I don't know where you get all this energy all the time. I've never seen it turned down.
Split second, babe. It comes in and it goes out just like that. You know?
I need a transfer. Ongoing.
So, Randy, Georgia Entertainment, we got matched up just a little while ago.
Yeah.
And you've now become my best friend. I haven't gotten out the pickleball just yet, but we're working it out. You know, we're getting there. But Georgia Entertainment is a senior staple. Let's put it this way, a senior staple in the South, in the state of Georgia, where you guys themselves are located, and that's how we hooked up.
Yeah.
From what we're doing in the studios, Global Media. But you're matched up with a lot of industry folks themselves, a beginning, middle, end, all right?
Yeah.
From the motion picture all the way down to the edit and post and relationships and music and everything else. And, of course, we'll talk a little bit about what we do here, what engaged you, all right, to come into the studio out here. And you came in,
we have a funny story.
Oh, wide eyes. It was like, welcome, I don't even know you guys exist.
Oh, we got a great story about that.
Right? We're not an untold secret. But with it, let's talk about Georgia Entertainment for a second. What is and who is and how did Georgia Entertainment really start to make its mark in Georgia?
So I had some other businesses that were online business publications, called Georgia CEO. It's still around today. So that's a collection of hyper local business sites in Savannah, Augusta,
right,
Middle Georgia. So there's Valdosta CEO, Savannah CEO, et cetera. So I started that in 2010, and then around 2015, 2016, some of the readers of those publications were in the film industry.
Oh, look at that.
And they said, "There's nobody covering the film industry. You should start something."
Right.
So we started a publication called Georgia Film News. And, they could have said hey, Randy, lighting is taking off in Georgia. I would have just said, okay, who cares? Georgia Lighting News. So I had no affinity to the industry itself. Later that year, as we started, there was music legislation where the music industry was trying to get a credit. So we quickly changed the name to Georgia Entertainment to be better encompassing. So then fast forward, a few years later, I exited the Georgia CEO business, had some things happen in my life to where the creative industries and the uncapping of creative minds and Georgia participating in what's happening and what we see all around us, that became my passion. And here we are today.
Sure. You bring a lot of the industry folks together. We've been at several of your events and things. We've actually held the events here at GMS. And some really spectacular people, individuals that are really engaged in the industry, what they do, how they do it, and why they do what they do. And I think it's extremely important to have an entity like Georgia Entertainment in the area, and especially around the country. People themselves know you around the country. You've been, over, let's just say, in several other ponds.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So we, one of the ways we've evolved is we started out as your traditional media company. Let's cover the news. Let's interview newsmakers,
which I wish they do today. So anyway,
yeah, that's another story in another podcast. But what we evolved to in matching my personal passion for creatives is we evolved to really a cheerleader advocacy situation along with the media aspect. So as you said, our goal is rally locally,
right,
and I'll tell you about that in a second, and recruit globally. So locally, we are trying to make sure city councilmen, mayors, the creatives within Cobb County, within Valdosta, Georgia, Savannah, Georgia, et cetera, et cetera.
The whole state.
Yeah, the whole state are rallying around that it's okay, that this is the future of your workforce. And then on the recruit globally side, we are busy at Cannes in south of France. We're busy at Sundance, TIFF, Toronto International Film Festival, and other spots around the globe. And what we do in those spots is we have events, and we have hundreds of filmmakers and creators come and hear about Georgia's resources, places like here where we're sitting today, the workforce that's powering this podcast right here, that's Georgia based, accounting firms, legal firms, all the resources that you need if you're a creator or a storyteller right here. So that's our recruit globally mentality. So that's kind of a description of how we sort of elevated out of just being a simple media company to being
Right.
something more strategic and intentional.
Sure. There are a lot of players around the country. You throw out LA, you throw out New York, but you can't throw away Georgia.
No, George. I mean, if anybody that knows me, our mission and what I tell everybody is Georgia is the creative and entertainment capital of the world. Now, I don't know if it's true or not,
Sure it is.
from a stat,
As
but
of here, right now, and today, all right.
but I truly believe that we are. I feel like we'll talk probably a little bit later about the film credit that sort of started it all, and
Yeah.
and that gave an incentive for productions wherever they were around the world to come here and produce, and we would give you a friendly credit. And that's been going on for years and really aggressively since 2015.
15, right?
And so that's driven a lot of growth in gaming, music, art, and all that. So it's had a sort of a snowball effect.
Yeah, right.
So our thing is like, let's keep this momentum. I mean, this is happening with our young people and with the way we consume content anyway. We might as well participate,
Sure.
as a state, and our children and our workforce in Georgia might as well be known worldwide. So Georgia is known worldwide because of those moves that have been made in policy.
And other moves that individuals have brought into the state too, as well. Those themselves who are local, and those themselves have said they found a great opportunity in South Georgia, a great opportunity in some of the Middle Georgia areas themselves, and we're going to see it in North Georgia.
Absolutely. I mean, you think about COVID, the pandemic, where remote working became, you were forced to remote working.
Sure.
Well, remote working was already a trend anyway,
Yeah.
so you had people wanting to move out of other parts of the country.
Sure.
New York, Chicago,
Understand that.
and they want
The
a better,
higher priced areas of the world.
yeah, the higher
right?
priced areas, and they want to live in, they want a better place to live and raise their family.
Sure.
And so that happened as we were booming up in the entertainment space. So we were getting a lot of people with those skill sets, and I feel like Georgia has really recruited in a very a very savvy
Sort of
professional.
professional clientele.
Absolutely,
Right,
professional clientele, and we have a long runway to go there.
And I think it's important. We often talk about that three-legged stool, and as Georgia being one of those third legs, and I hate to say a third leg, it's not a third leg,
Yeah.
but it's now becoming extremely important. When you brought up the youth, you also brought up to the fact itself that technologies are changing, and they have changed drastically, tremendously from COVID. Let's just say COVID on. All right, there was a tremendous amount of technology changes themselves before this. But after COVID, we had to find a way.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think the industry is still finding new ways. They're still doing things a little differently, especially down here. You've been through the doors. I think we developed crazy. Okay. Or I just maybe had an additive to be crazier,
Yeah.
But I think the fact that the technologies, the younger generation, the generations are now seeing, I don't think they actually understand what is involved and what could be involved in this industry. Already, and then bringing this industry to Georgia,
Yeah.
already, and really opening some doors for all different types of folks themselves. And technology is breeding that or bringing that in with us.
Yeah.
What a unique opportunity! Now we're talking about credits. We're talking about Georgia itself being on the map.
Yeah.
already,
Yeah.
for the entertainment.
Yeah.
all right?
Yeah.
And I think that's extremely important.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I tell people this all the time. Georgia got extremely lucky. So I won't go too much into my theory about this, but the fourth industrial revolution started in 2000 with the internet. And what that did is that brought people that had niche interests together. So rocks, the game of chase or tag or whatever, these people around the world able to come together. As that was happening, broadcast was going away. The 4 stations, TV stations, the way people consumed entertainment, consumed content was breaking down. Meanwhile, as this is progressing into 2008, that was our first tax credit,
Right.
2015. Like for lack of a better word, we got lucky, that Georgia put in this incentive as the democratization of content production was breaking down in LA and other parts of the world. Now you got places like Global Media Studios that has stood up and is like a haven for creators. They don't have to go to Hollywood to get greenlit, to get
That's
money,
right.
to do whatever. They can find their niche audience because of the fourth industrial revolution, which was the coming of the internet and technology, the breakdown of the borders,
Right.
and now they're able to find an audience, monetize, and exist, and that's where Georgia got lucky because the timing of what we did just coincided with so many other things that was taking place,
Sure.
as you
Right.
mentioned earlier, in the entertainment space.
It was opening the doors for a lot of individuals themselves where they used to already, whether they were taking it overseas, okay, they were able to create those sets. They were able to create those designs here. And no better place, no better open place than Georgia. I mean, that's why a lot of these folks themselves settled in the South, because it's still open lands.
Yeah.
But as you know, as the technology changes and as we continue to move, we're going to see some great opportunities. And you said something about the COVID. The COVID world had changed a lot of things. Changed a lot of things. In fact, realized people themselves didn't have to go to work and wear pants anymore. I think that opened the door to even more to where traditional news is now taking a back step, and some of those major players out there are going into, okay, and in this type of setting. All right,
Yes.
and they need to match up with more. Now, of course, that was just audio, and then they started to add the video to it, and then a lot more dynamics and creatives came into the program itself, and it really fostered, it really opened some doors for a lot of different folks already in this segment, and especially in Georgia. And of course, I got to give hats off to some of our political folk out there bringing it to Georgia.
Yeah.
And allowing those themselves to have an identification of tax credits and bringing those Georgia economic and things of the state to develop. Huge,
Yes.
huge.
Yes.
And I think it's still going to continue. All right, what do you feel?
No, I agree. I mean, you know, you think about it. Let's go back to when the tax credit sort of came. Everybody knows that Hollywood is on a political spectrum viewed as liberal,
That's
or
right.
Democrat or whatever your views.
Sure, right, exactly.
It's viewed that way. And Georgia, whatever your views are, leans conservative
Yes.
and Republican politically. So the reason I bring that up is you have an industry that was known for that. You had a Republican governors given an incentive to to magnetize it and bring it here, and that was genius because now Georgia gets to be at the center of what everybody's doing. Everybody's eating, sleeping, breathing, and entertaining themselves every day.
Yep.
So now Georgia can be the center of what somebody does almost every day. So I believe that over the last few years, our political leaders are now finally understanding the economic benefit of that production, that it's creating jobs, that it's creating tourism, that it is a soft power, as they say, soft power being that we're able to share and control to some extent the messaging that we as Georgians, for example, we're able to tell our stories, not that other people's stories don't matter. It's just that we used to have to go to LA or some other place and come back and hope that our way, our ideas were going to be able to be spread. That's changed.
Capitalized on,
Yeah.
without a doubt. And I think here's another thing too as well. I think some of the schools, the colleges, the younger generations coming up and everything else, and now started putting those types of programs in play.
Mm-hmm.
They gave more opportunity itself for the younger generations themselves to come up and see what this was all about. That was very hard in the past.
Yes,
all right?
It was.
Until Georgia Entertainment put out a magazine. But I'm just saying now we're seeing a lot more of the college and the students themselves really being engaged in the creative sides. In the video sides and the music sides and things of this nature. All right, we're really come together full circle for a nucleus.
Absolutely.
Already of really, let's just say, making its mark in the state of Georgia.
Absolutely. And you brought up something that's very important to me personally. I was raised in South Georgia, like 3 hours south of Atlanta.
I would have never imagined that.
3 hours south of Atlanta.
You can tell I was born in South Georgia too.
Oh,
as well,
I know.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
There's no way. You're a total carpetbagger. No,
man, I don't believe so, but it's all good.
But as a child, I remember all of this vividly. The folks that were in the marching band, the ones that were in the art school drama, totally weird. Totally not part of the mainstream of my
Right.
school and of my friends. And in fact, when I went home, my parents would suppress anything that creative because there's no jobs there. Not because they didn't love me, they didn't understand.
They were trying to watch out for your future.
They
All
were.
right.
And,
And making sure that you're going to be able to take care of yourself. Instead
exactly.
of living at home at 30, 35, 40 years old.
Exactly. And now that cap is off. I mean, look at the young people today. I mean, they are engaged with technology, consuming content, interested in being, audio technicians, video editing, and things like that. And just think about it. I mean, we're about the same age. Think about it. If we
I'm a
knew
little younger.
oh yeah, if we knew the kids back then, now those kids, now there's no stigma.
That's right.
And the economy.
Clean slate.
Yeah, clean slate.
Clean slate.
The economy is going to benefit from the new way of thinking about just simple things. We're going to see a boom in the coming 20, 30 years of efficiency just by us uncapping the creative minds of our youth.
I'm looking forward to it, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Randy, I want to switch gears for a second. In front of me itself, I have a copy of Georgia Entertainment. And there's a very special reason itself that this is out there, because this is my very own embossed copy, all right, that was hand delivered, all right, because of our relationship. We have a very, very strong relationship with Georgia Entertainment.
Yeah.
And when we start working with you guys themselves, we found synergies.
Yeah.
Okay. And we found a place to eat lunch too.
Yes, we did.
But we found some strong synergies out there. Let's talk about these Georgia Entertainment magazine and what this is all about, because I think individuals themselves and our viewers and listeners themselves are going to want to know is that, wow, where can I go to research? Where can I go to find out more about what's going on in today's trends or what's going on in the state of Georgia?
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about Georgia Entertainment, the magazine.
Yeah,
especially for that.
So in 2023, we say a lot of things on social and on our website. We put out a lot of important things and everything, and it just felt like vapor. It hits, boom, you kind of learn everything. And print still has credibility. You can feel it, you can touch it, it sits there, it's a reference piece. So we just said, hey, can we come up with a journal that's not going to break news, but has timeless information in there. So we started the concept, and we created a journal that would be intentional. It would advocate towards legislators.
Right.
So there's a subliminal sort of educational aspect of it. It would talk about new technologies that were coming down the pipe, and it would also celebrate and highlight resources in Georgia.
Right.
Now, the reason for that is this journal goes around the world with us. This is what you just showed is the 2025 version of the Creative Economy Journal that will go to Cannes, that went to Sundance, it went to South by, it got delivered to the legislators in Georgia. Every one of them got one with their name on it, and we delivered them to the Capitol.
So I'm not special anymore. Is that what it is?
And some of our friends got their own personalized version, gloss. But it's an appreciative and intentional thing. I think the journal really describes the difference of what we are. If somebody's like, "Oh, so are you a newspaper or media?"
Right.
No, we're a little bit more than that. And explaining the purpose of that journal, it helps explain that. And this journal in particular, the theme of this one was workforce development and education.
Good.
We had SCAD students design the whole magazine.
Oh, great.
So all the content, illustrations and everything were done by our future workforce in Georgia. That's another, example of intentionality. And there's just great articles in there, across the spectrum of the creative industries. There's an article in there about the opera, about how the economic benefits of the opera. There's music articles about music, gaming trends, and gaming development, what our kids are doing. So I think if people are interested, that they can reach out to us. We can make sure that they can access a copy, or we can send them a copy of the journal.
Good. Great coffee table. We got on our coffee tables here, without a doubt. But they don't get the one with the by embossed name on. This one stays in my office. We're probably going to frame this one already, and I'm going to have you sign it. No, we're not going to do all that stuff. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But on that note, we want to talk a little bit of industry. But before we do that, if individuals wanted to get a hold of you some way, get a hold of your team, you got a great team of people themselves. Not as good as mine, but you got a great team of people. Okay, they've been down in the studios and everything else from all the way down the lines. And If they wanted to get a hold of you, what's the best way for individuals themselves or to reach Georgia
Yeah,
Entertainment?
so we our main social outlets are LinkedIn and Instagram. That just happens to be where we migrated to and where our followers
And you will
are.
find us LinkedIn there too as well.
Yes,
So that's
yes,
great.
exactly.
Okay.
So we're Georgia Entertainment on LinkedIn and Georgia Entertainment News on Instagram. You can do easy searches there. Our website is georgiaentertainment.com, fairly easy. And to reach me personally, you can email me, Randy, R-A-N-D-Y, at georgiaentertainment.com.
Good deal. Superb. And, they can always reach you and reach out. And a great opportunity for
Yeah.
yourselves. And especially some of the happenings. And you guys do a lot of different meet and greets
Yep.
and a lot of different events during the year and things of this
Oh,
nature.
yeah.
And I think that's extremely important for those, especially young people. And so getting into the industry and really pile driving and meeting or hobnobbing, okay, with some of those folks themselves, in the industries themselves. We do. Then we're going to have more programs here too as well and things of this
Yeah.
nature. So we're going to keep that up. So Randy, two things for you. Okay. One thing, when you came to the studios themselves and in the business of being into Georgia Entertainment and what you've described before already of bringing people together, okay, especially in the industry, you came into this studio GMS, okay, and your eyes were super wide, okay. I just got to ask you why.
Well, we're going to have to go back a little bit
Okay.
because someone told me about this Rich Hart place coming around over here,
Crazy.
and if you're watching this whole podcast here, hopefully you can tell that I eat, breathe, and sleep this industry. Like it's my passion.
I could imagine. I could
I
imagine.
love
I
it
do,
so
exactly.
much, and for me to not know about what I'm about to tell you was like amazing. And as you know, Rich Hart's attitude about, oh, this guy doesn't know who we are, like who is he or
I
whatever.
played
So
on that one pretty
so
good.
we
Yeah,
had some
without a
great
doubt.
early interactions, but Rich, one of our team members visited with Rich,
Right.
gave me. I couldn't come to the tour that day. Came back to me and told me about it, and I just was floored at what he described to me because I do know a lot about the studios, and I'm not saying I know
Right.
everything,
No,
but
yeah, right.
you're right here, centrally located. So it was that way, and then Rich came to a couple of our events.
Mm-hmm.
You guys did, and saw who we were gathering up and what we were trying to do. Got a
Right.
little taste of us, and then I came over, and then I saw what you have here. And what I saw was someone that I don't know what everybody's religion is, but there's no better word for me to think of than divine, over here about what's happened or some sort of vision that you had for what you were developing. Because when you come over here, you will see a design and services that are set up for where I truly believe the future of the creative economy and the creative industries are heading. The further democratization of technology, the further dropping of obstacle and barriers for somebody to be
Right.
able to monetize and tell their story. And you come here and there's different setups. There's this podcast studio that we're in now. You can have a live event. You've got all the video. We were just at an event here recently the other day. It was could have been a full blown, corporate event if you
Sure.
wanted it. We were
Exactly.
helping kids that day,
Yeah, right.
sharing some things with some local school kids about the creative industries. But you had all these technologies, and it's all laid out in this different space. So I use you all as an example of where things are headed and going to go. And it's just really about getting more and more people to come over and engage with the team here and see the expertise that you have.
Right.
So it's truly unique. And there's a lot of studio setups with like a kitchen or a this or a that around Georgia. But in terms of a full service, uh, uh, gathering of all of these of a bunch of the different sectors, the sound the ADR and all these. I mean, you can explain all this stuff better than me, and maybe I interview you in the next podcast. But if you have to come over here and see it, you'll see exactly what I'm saying about what you've built here, which is very impressive.
I just thought it was a very funny story. I didn't mean to set you up there.
No, it was hilarious. I mean, because this is what we're preaching, and we did do it what we call an insider social event where we invite the who's who to come over here and see this. We had so much great feedback from that event from people that this is here, and I think that momentum of getting that known is going to be good not only for Cobb County, Fulton County, Atlanta, Georgia, and I think you guys have a long runway here with what you're doing.
We got a great team.
Yeah.
Great people.
You really do.
To really identify when it comes down to story, content, humor, entertainment, the 4 genres of the world. Mm-hmm. We're covering all those without a doubt in fervor and detail.
Yeah.
Okay. But I think when it comes down to audio, video, music, sound, productions, from the podcast, audio cast, video cast, webcast, and everything down the lines, it's all under one roof at 20,000 square feet, which is a pretty cool idea. And I tell people about your reaction coming in all the time, and they turn around and they go, "He was that, but that's Randy."
No,
I said, that's Randy. And I said, I floored him. I said, that was pretty good.
Well, I've seen a lot of, to be frank in this conversation too, I see a lot of, and I'm, a lot of challenge spots in Georgia where they have set up and went down the road of 40,000 square foot sound stages, purpose built. And, they've got 20, one place has 20, another place has 30.
I know.
30, 50,000, 40. So, they have set their boat and there's opportunities for them. They're different than the ones that are here. I had rather be in the lane that is going on right here because in all of it, content consumption is not staggering. It's not declining. Content consumption is this way.
Yeah, right.
So you got to figure out how to service it. And I think facilities like this have the flexibility and the services of where I feel like content creation is happening.
Good.
So
especially creativity of that content too.
Yeah.
As well. From seed to table, bringing it in and developing and helping and working with the dynamics of individual to create. And to be allowed to create, which I think is pretty cool.
Absolutely.
So, Randy, our industry and what we're doing here is taking some drastic changes. Okay, we can see it happening around us. Post markets and things we're doing. We talked about post and editing and finalizations and things of this, especially what we do are our full blown music studios and Fairlights and our Pro Tools. Everything from ADR to VO to everything. It's kind of a crazy place, without a doubt, 100% all through. But what do you see the industry? Where's the industry going? You had alluded to the fact itself that this is where the industry is going. We've developed what we're doing here, all right, based upon where the industry is heading. Where do you see? All right, because as Georgia Entertainment still climbs into the reins already of keeping people up to date, keeping those individuals themselves top of mind, keeping and working and developing relationships, not only in the state of Georgia, but outside, all right, those gray lines and abroad across the ponds.
Yeah.
All righty. Where do you see? Where's Georgia? Where's the focus going? What do you think in our industry?
I tell you, for us, and I alluded to it earlier, we started out as Georgia Film News, and if you think about that term right there, we started out covering just one of the legs of monetization, film. So you have a story. Film will make it money.
Film has changed.
Okay, so film has changed. So we're Georgia Entertainment. What I believe and what we are espousing and what our journal says and what we follow and what we're passionate about is moving upstream away from the monetization way, podcast, video, art show, game, whatever. Let's move towards the story, towards the intellectual property. And that's where I feel like studios like you guys, what you guys have here is you can meet the storyteller where they are, then give them the options to output and to monetize what they're doing.
Right.
So for example, in Georgia, we have a credit for film production.
Right.
It's an output.
It's an output, right?
It,
Exactly.
it needs to be expanded to include other monetization benefits because we still get the benefits whether it's a fashion show or a game. Think about game for a minute. Minecraft, is kind of went crazy. This had a
Sure.
big box office or whatever. But it's things can start as a game and then it's a movie. Or it's a movie, then it becomes a game. Then it
Right.
becomes an activation or an event or a venue or a Disney ride or whatever. So you come up to the intellectual property,
Right.
you grasp the creator and where they're living, you coddle them, you service them, you provide them what they need, and then you're there for whatever the output is. So that's where we're headed. We're headed towards Georgia storytellers. Storytellers worldwide, come here and do your production.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Storytellers in Georgia, tell your stories. Another little passion of mine is funding, Georgia money.
I like funding. I
Yeah.
like Georgia money.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. I mean, who's in favor out there of Georgia money?
Well, I think maybe so.
But that is another area that I am working with some folks about funds for these projects where Georgia money can invest in these things. There's lots of risk neutral ways to neutralize risk. Yeah, than there was before in the old days. Hey, that's a
Yeah,
great
right.
idea. Let me give you some money to do that. Now there's credits and there's different asset ways to value and there's new ways of financing. So I feel like if Georgia has the money, Georgia stories, Georgia production,
Yeah, right.
I like that's what I like. I like it all to be around what we're doing here in the
Well,
state.
we need to fill the coffer or pass the basket. All right.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
But I think that's extremely important going forward, is especially where Georgia heading. We alluded in the beginning of the conversation itself that we're part of that. Let's just say now we are part of that three-legged stool already. And I'm not saying that the word Georgia is a third leg. There are a lot of other areas themselves that they're shooting and developing dynamics and film and video and podcasting and everybody else that does. But I'm thinking itself that Georgia has a place. And I think the more we open that can already and gravitate and bring more individuals. I mean, come on, take a look at the areas themselves. Savannah, largest port, the third largest port. Depends upon where you are and who you are, right? Hartsfield,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
from the airport. Our studios themselves is 20 minutes from the airport,
Yeah.
400, 285,
Yep.
75, 85, 41.
Yeah.
Walking. We're a baseball's throw from the Braves
Baseball
Stadium. itself.
stadium, yeah.
And so we're in the mix and
Yeah.
in the middle of
Yeah.
everything out here. All right.
Yeah.
And everything that we do from the standpoint, and we have some very strong individuals themselves, and we've had clientele coming through the studios and things of this nature. They're extremely strong in what they're doing. They love what they do already, and they're gravitating toward how this technology is changing and helping them aid, and how the distribution of this technology and or their story, their content, the humor, their level of entertainment is getting out there, especially through the media and the media outlets and things of this nature. Our job itself is to really come together and create that. And I couldn't think of a better partner, than Georgia Entertainment. Already in GMS, okay. Oh, did I tell you? I just bought Georgia Entertainment.
Oh, really good.
Not just yet, but oh, you're out of a job. You want to? No,
No, come on, you can't leave me.
No, not at all. But I'm just thinking itself. There's a great opportunity, and even greater opportunities going forward.
I agree. I think that, one of the things that at some point I would love, whenever time permits for you or maybe in your travel schedule, if you could attend something outside of Georgia
Sure.
that we do, because you will see the net benefit. Because let's say, I'll give an example at South by Southwest or Sundance. We're basically the only state that's having multiple events,
that's
recruiting people to our, like, we're the only state saying, please come. And then when they come to our event, Rich, you got to see, we have partners in the room from Georgia
Right.
that are like me, sharing how we want their business. And
Right,
so the net benefit that we have is Southern hospitality.
Good.
I mean, Texas is trying to stand up a big credit right now as we speak
Without
in
a
this
doubt.
podcast. Other state, New Jersey's doing this or whatever. But the net benefit that we have is the Southern hospitality that we are living in right now, and that we want your business, and we'll show you the difference, the Georgia difference. And so I'm a cheerleader for that, and I'm a cheerleader for Georgia projects and Georgia creatives to keep their projects here, for our young people to not have to leave the state.
Sure.
If they want to, they can, but you're not forced to anymore.
No,
the
not at
jobs
all.
are here.
Yeah, right.
So that's our passion.
Good. So, Randy, Georgia Entertainment, any last comments themselves that you want to get out to our viewers, our audience, folks themselves? The people are going to be seeing this all over, okay? Especially two of us in one room. That's crazy enough.
Yeah.
But any last comments themselves that you want to leave with our audience out there?
Well, I really think that, if you've watched this podcast, you know that I'm a big Georgia fan for the state.
Tell. Right, exactly.
But I'm really more of a fan of the creative, and I'm more of the fan of the storytellers. I'm more excited. Like, some people are like, well, the industry's changing. It's so scary. Production's not happening. No, it's an exciting time. It's an exciting time to be young. It's an exciting time to be old, to watch this. So I'm excited to see what happens, with what some people call the innovative economy, or the creative economy, or the creator economy, whatever you want to call it. There is going to be mass opportunity for more and more people. It's going to be good for our families, good for our young people.
Yep.
It's going to be good for the country, and I'm just excited to watch it happen, and I feel like places like we're sitting at today are really positioned perfectly.
Right.
They can be nimble. You can move around. You can take 3,000 of your square feet, adjust it to something different if
Sure.
it needs to be, to help the
And it's
creator.
totally flexible.
Yeah, and I think that these facilities are the facilities of the future that will help the creatives.
Facility, not facilities. All right, without a doubt. Folks, I want to thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Rich Hart. I'm with Randy Davidson of Georgia Entertainment, which you will be seeing Randy, and you will be seeing me more often itself at what we're doing to
I'm
incorporate.
looking forward to you seeing more of these with other people, too.
Without a doubt. That's what we're going to be doing.
Yeah.
All right. So individuals themselves that would like to get on the podcast and work with Randy and myself, okay, we welcome that. So, Randy, we talked about that earlier itself, but we welcome you to come on down. All right. Take a look. And if you're interested in getting a tour view of what we do here and how we build the dynamics of really connecting that story, the content, the humor, the level of entertainment inside the world of technology. So, guys, thank you very much for joining me. This is Rich Hart. Thank you, all right, Randy, for coming in today itself. And we're looking forward to see you on another one. I know Randy will be back. Randy, would you come back for us?
I would love to.
Good. And we'll bring some more guests.
Yes,
Sounds
we
good?
will.
All right,
we will.
without
We
a
set
doubt.
this room up, add 2 or 3 more. It could be really dynamic.
We can do that without a doubt, without a doubt, without a doubt. So my name is Rich Hart, and don't forget to look us up. Thank you very much, folks. And, hey, we'll see you on the next one. Thanks.